time for my February book haul. These are all the books I've bought myself and been sent for review, but I've literally only bought one book. I've just been sent a ton of books for review recently. I don't know if it's just that time of year, lots of exciting new stuff is coming out, but before I get into the review books, I will therefore just start with the one book I bought myself, if I can identify it in my pile here. Yes, it is. I picked up a copy of Spectacle by Jodie Lynn Zrock from Forbidden Planet here in London. I love Forbidden Planet. They just have this like massive selection of sci-fi and fantasy, as well as tons of like US releases that I wouldn't see in a lot of the other bookshops in the UK. So this, for example, is a Tor US title and one that I haven't seen anywhere else, so as soon as I saw it on the shelves I knew I had to pick up a copy because I've seen it doing a few rounds on BookTube and thought it sounded really, really interesting. It's a sort of like historical paranormal mystery novel about a 16-year-old woman living in 1800s Paris who writes the daily morgue column for the newspaper. Yes, I know, out there, but brilliant. Her whole life is turned upside down, however, when she starts having visions from the perspective of murderers as they kill people, and she has to therefore help solve those crimes and catch those murderers that she seems to be psychically connected to, and I just think this sounds fabulous, so I'm really, really excited about it. Then I was actually sent for review something that isn't just a book, but is actually a bookish subscription service called Fairy Loot. Now, I'm sure lots of you have heard of Fairy Loot before. I've definitely seen it on other people's channels and always thought it looked like so much fun. I mean, any box called Fairy Loot, that just sounds amazing. And I was so excited therefore when they offered to send me some to try out, and I thought I would unbox this one here with you in this haul. So let's have a look inside. Oh my goodness. Sorry, even the box is beautiful. They specialise, as I'm sure you can guess, in fantasy titles, so new fantasy titles, and then they theme each box according to a theme. So this card tells me that the theme of the January box, which is this one, is Moon and Stars. Okay, already here for that. And we have one little parcel here. Oh, okay, so this is a little necklace. How lovely is this? This is the different phases of the moons in a lovely necklace. I don't know how to take it off today. I think it's like a long one, so like it's going to come down here. Do you know what? I don't have any long necklaces. All of my like few necklaces are like kind of sit kind of higher up on the neck. So this is probably a really good thing to have that might be handy with certain outfits. And it's really, really cute. Okay, I'm already enjoying myself. We then have another little package. Oh, whatever it was has fallen off the card. Oh, okay, it's a keyring, but it's a dragon keyring. Do you see that? We all know I'm obsessed with dragons. This guy reminds me a little bit of Spike from My Little Pony. And weirdly enough, I was literally just talking to a friend of mine about how I needed to get a new keyring. I know that's a very specific thing, but it did come up in conversation. So this is ideal. He's so cute. Dragon of my own, all I've ever wanted. We then have some star-shaped paper clips. Oh, cute! But when they're moons on the back, so when you slide them in, they're moons one side, stars the other side. Lovely. I'm so sorry, the book is at the bottom, that's why we're going for all this stuff first. We then have a little box. Oh, sorry. Okay, yes, it says Starry Fairy Lights on the box, and they are star shaped fairy lights. I have star-shaped fairy lights. Am I hallucinating, or is that something that I have? Oh, okay, I know what happened. I remember, they used to be behind me. I don't know if you ever noticed them, but they broke. So actually, how apt is that? We then have a little moon trinket dish. Oh, this is so cute. Look, it's like a little, it's that sort of like petrol shine effect. I don't know what that's actually called, but that's what it reminds me of. Moon dish. Okay, again, everything in this box is adorable, but I would say that as a massive fantasy fan who enjoys a good knick-knack. We then have a piece of fabric. Oh, okay, so this is a pillowcase. It is a woman sitting on a cloud projecting books onto the moon, as you do, and it has a quote on the back here by Oscar Wilde, "With freedom, books, flowers, and the moon, who could not be happy?" I like that. That's a nice quote. We then, okay, one last thing before I get into the little pouch with the book in it, and this is a little notebook. Okay, adorable, and it's lined, which is perfect because I prefer a lined notebook. This will definitely get used. I always have a use for notebooks in my life. This has a quote from Illuminae by J. Christoph and Annie Kaufman on the front, which is a book I haven't read. You have me until the last star and the galaxy dies. You have me. Cute. Sounds like there's a romance in that book. We then have, like I said, a little pouch at the bottom there, so I'm trying to put this, which says happy reading on the back. That's what I always say. Ooh, this cover looks familiar. I think I have seen this maybe in people's anticipated releases videos. This is what it looks like. Stunning. It's called Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. This is just stunning. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's find out what it's about together. Xymena is the decoy Condessa, a stand-in for the last remaining Illustrian royal. Her people lost everything when the usurper Atok used an ancient relic to summon ghosts and drive the Illustrians from Laquidad. Now Xymena's motivated by her insatiable thirst for revenge and her rare ability to spin thread from moonlight. When Atok demands the real Condessa's hand in marriage, it's Xymena's duty to go in her stead. She relishes the chance, as Illustrian spies have reported that Atok's no longer carrying his deadly relic. If Xymena can find it, she can return the true aristocrata to their rightful place. She hunts for the relic using her weaving ability to hide messages in tapestries for the resistance. But when a masked vigilante, a warm-hearted princessa, and a thoughtful healer challenge Xymena, her mission becomes more complicated. There could be a way to overthrow the usurper without starting another war, but only if Xymena turns her back on revenge and her Condessa. Oh, this sounds brilliant. But I have to say that's actually one of my favourite bookish subscriptions I've ever been sent. The trinkets and the book are beautiful and sound amazing, so thank you so much, Fairy Loot. And now we move into the books I was sent for review by publishers themselves. First up is one that quite a few of you were recommending I pick up recently, and that is The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. This is the first in a series which has a few out already, but Pam Macmillan were kind enough to send me book one of, and I mean, we already know it's about a magical library, but I also hear there's dragons, and that's why people was recommending it to me. So it says Irene must be on top of her game or she'll be off the case permanently. Okay, it also sounds like there's some mystery in there with maybe some crime solving elements. Another thing I love. Irene is a professional spy from the mysterious library which harvests fiction from different realities, and along with her enigmatic assistant Kai, she's posted to an alternative London. Their mission to retrieve a dangerous book, but when they arrive it's already been stolen. London's underground factions seem prepared to fight to the very death to find her book. It sounds so good, and like I said, it came really highly recommended by quite a few of you, so I'm really intrigued to pick it up. And now I'm actually wondering if you would be interested in a future video where I talk about books, because this reminds me I've got a couple on my shelf to read, but I've also read some that I've really enjoyed in the past, so let me know if that's a video you'd like to see, and maybe I'll read this ahead of that. Also fantasy is Unnatural Magic by C.M. Wagner, and what drew me to this book, why I requested it from the publisher, is that the protagonist is a troll. And you know, recently I've been mentioning I want to do more fantasy where the protagonists aren't human, but like I said, it's about a troll. So we have two main characters. We have a character called Anna, who I think is a human, and Sira, who is a troll. They're both outcasts for their own reason, but somebody else is murdering trolls in their homeland, so they are drawn into this mystery and have to work together to solve it, which sounds brilliant. A lot of like paranormal fantasy mystery. That's a lot of paranormal fantasy mysteries thus far in the video. We also have The Beautiful by Renee Ade, which I'm so excited about. I love The Wrath of the Dawn by Renee Ade, and this is her latest book, which a lot of people have been talking about as having vampire elements, although I don't think like the protagonist is a vampire. I've heard mixed things of people saying it's a vampire novel and other people saying it's not a vampire novel, but there is some vampires in the background, so I'm not quite sure what to expect. I know it's another one set in the 1800s, this time I believe in New Orleans, and it is a city ruled by the dead. But to 17-year-old Céline Rousseau, it is also a safe haven after she's forced to flee her life in Paris. Quickly enraptured by the vibrant city, from its music to its extravagant soirees and even its danger, she soon becomes embroiled in the city's glitzy underworld, and particularly the group known as La Cour de Lion. But when a body is found in their lair, Céline is forced to battle her attraction for the group's enigmatic leader, Sébastien Saint Germain, and suspicions about his guilt along with her own secrets. Okay, what's going on? We've got another paranormal murder mystery. We also have another book set in the 1800s and another book with French characters. None of this was intentional, but maybe these are just trends in 2020 releases. Just to change things up, however, I'm going to mention a contemporary romance next, and that is the Flatshare by Beth O'Leary. So this came out in hardback last year, and the publishers were kind enough to send me the paperback, which is coming out this year, and I have heard incredible things about this book. It was in a few people I follow's best books of 2019, so that already says something, and I've been dipping my toes into the contemporary romance genre of late, as you know, so I wanted to give it a shot. We follow two protagonists, a man and a woman, who end up in a flat share situation where there's only one bed, but one of them works night shift and one of them works during the day, so they're able to have the flat to themselves while the other one is at work, and because of that they never meet. Like, I don't know if that's intentional, I don't know if they like set up this living situation saying it'll be easier if we never actually meet, or if that's just like their schedules not allowing them to meet. However, they get to know one another through notes that they leave each other. Quite a strong bond that I assume turns into a romance. As impractical as that situation sounds, I have heard amazing things about this book and I'm so excited to read it. I then also have, quite excitingly, a proof copy of Beth O'Leary's next book. So this is The Switch. This is an art copy, like I mentioned. It has a nice little door here. This one comes out in April, and I don't know a terrible amount about it, except this is another contemporary novel in which I believe a young woman and her grandmother switch lives. So they go to live in each other's homes and experience the other person's day-to-day because they want to change things up, and I think that sounds like such a lovely premise. So I'm really hoping I become a bit of a Beth O'Leary fan after these two books. We then have a book I have already read and is featured in a video I did recently about climate change books, so I will link that down below, and it is Weather by Jenny Ophel. This is a piece of literary fiction written as like momentary insights into one woman's mind. She is a librarian who gets a part-time job working for one of her old lecturers as her assistant. She answers the emails she receives about her podcast, which is all about the environment and climate change, and it's about all the thoughts in her mind from like her personal life, her family, home life, to these much bigger thoughts about the world and the planet and the environment, and it's really beautiful. We then have a book I was so excited about when I heard it was coming out, and that is Glass Town by Isabel Greenberg. Isabel Greenberg is hands down my favourite graphic novelist. Her illustrations are gorgeous, and I also always enjoy these stories within her graphic novels. Now, this isn't an entirely original story because it is about the lives of the three Bronte sisters, although I'm not sure to what extent it is reality or if it takes liberties. It says 4 children, Charlotte, Branwell, Emily and Anne, have invented a world so real and vivid that they can step right into it. But can reality be enough when fiction is so enticing? And what happens to an imaginary world where its creators grow up? When its creators grow up. Okay, so my question has been answered there. I think it's the parallel storylines of the real lives of these 4 siblings, 3 of which are the Bronte sisters that are very well known for their novels, and this imaginary world they create together, and that sounds like the perfect combination for Isabel Greenberg's style because she just creates the most wonderful magical realism worlds full of storytelling. So theme-wise, this is very much on brand. Again, here's like another glance inside. And I'm just so excited about this. It looks stunning and I am 100% certain I'm going to love it. We then have a beautiful little middle grade book by Matilda Woods called Otto, Tattergoat and the Forest of Lost Things. This looks so lovely. I mean, already there's dragons on the front here, but it just looks gorgeous from the cover. It says that in the internally frozen city of Hoddledorf, the Tattercoats live up on the roofs and by a strict code. Only steal what you need, don't leave a trace of yourself behind, and if another Tattercoat is in trouble, you must always help them out. So when Otto's mother goes missing and he is lured into a factory for children, with nowhere else to go, the Tattercoats must come to the rescue. Dare they enter the Forest of Lost Things where wolves, witches and other wonders hide in the shadows, and can they find a way to bring sunshine and warmth to Hoddledorf once more? So excited about this, loving my middle grade fantasy at the moment. I'm currently actually reading a sort of weird and wonderful paranormal middle grade at the moment, and I could really do with more to pick up. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have sort of weird historical thriller. So I say weird because this book is set in 2 different time periods. We have one part set in the future in AD 2156 London, We also then have another section set in the year 6200 BC, so essentially in the prehistoric world, and in both time periods we follow mothers who are trying to take care of their infants but are pulled into dangerous lies and must uncover the truth. This sounds so strange, which is what I expect, to be honest, from Unsung Stories, but I also adore their books. So they often publish quite like weird surrealist novels with like a dark edge, and everyone I've read in the past I've adored. So when they offered to send me this one, I knew I had to say yes. Plus, it is recommended by Naomi Booth, the author of Sealed, one of my favourite books of 2019, and if she loved it, then I'm sure I'm going to love it too. I am excited to read about how the author tackles motherhood across time in this novel, so hopefully we'll be picking this one up soon. We then have a YA fantasy book called A Throne of Swans by Catherine and Elizabeth Corr. So this is about a young noblewoman in a very interesting fantasy world where people can turn into birds. She's supposed to be able to turn into a swan but hasn't been able to do it for years and has been hiding this secret. However, it's all about to come out when her father passes away and she has to step into his role as protectorate of Atrites. In fact, she hasn't been able to transform since she witnessed the murder of her mother, and she thinks if she can solve the murder of her mother from her childhood, she will be able to get her powers back, so she kind of sets off on this quest. And I just thought that sounded incredibly unique and interesting, and I'm really here for it. We then have a book by an author I've heard a lot of good things about but have not read yet, and that is Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chupeco. In fact, it says right there, best-selling author of The Bone Witch, which is the book I've heard a lot of great things about in the past and have been meaning to read myself. This one sounds a little bit different from her other fantasy book, however, because it is set in Arizona rather than a magical world. Now, the protagonists are all from the magical world of Avalon, but they had to flee their city as refugees when the evil Snow Queen cast a curse on them, and they flee to Arizona. I don't know quite how the world building works, if it's parallel worlds or what, or how they travel to Arizona. However, I believe they have an opportunity to defeat the evil Snow Queen and perhaps return to their lost home. So this just sounds like such like a wacky combination of like the modern contemporary world and a magical land that I just can't wait to get stuck in and see how it all comes together. I then have a proof of The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkowski. Now, I was super intrigued by this one for one reason and one reason alone, and that is because it is an LGBTQ+ romantic fantasy, which is one of my favourite things in the entire world. We have a female protagonist, so I'm assuming it's going to be a female-female romance. It's also set in a world with very strict class boundaries, and our protagonist is part of the lower classes, so she's not allowed to, for example, eat sweets or wear colours until a traveller from far away comes to tempt her with magic. Yes, please. We then have an illustrated children's book, but one I am going to thoroughly enjoy as an adult, I can tell you now, and that is On Wings of Words, The Extraordinary Life of Emily Dickinson. So this is a biography of the poet Emily Dickinson, but in illustrated form. So this is what some of those illustrations look like. Another little snippet there. These look absolutely stunning. And Emily Dickinson isn't someone I know a terrible amount about, but I have always been interested in learning more, so I really like the idea of this. And I still very much enjoy reading children's picture books, whether they're fiction or non-fiction, as an adult. I find it a very satisfying experience, and then once I have read them, most of the time I then pass them on to friends or family members who have young children, because I kind of want them to get the joy of these books as well. There have been a couple I've refused to part with, but one day I'm going to have kids and they might want to read them. However, most of the time I try to share them with younger readers as well, but first I'm looking forward to reading this. On that note, we have My Friend Earth, written by Patricia McLaughlin and illustrated by Francesca Sana. So I love Francesca Sana's illustrations. She wrote and illustrated a book called The Journey about refugees, which was absolutely stunning. It's actually one of the books that I just mentioned I kept for myself, and this is a book all about the environment, illustrated by Francesca Sana and, like I mentioned, written by Patricia McLaughlin. So this is a little glance at what this one looks like inside, and it has the most beautiful cutouts, all these different layers, and I just cannot get over how stunning this is. Plus, I think it's so important to have educational books like this accessible to children. Oh my gosh, this is just beautiful. I can't wait to pore over this. And on the topic of cutout illustrations, I have another book with a similar theme called Garden Jungle by Helene Druvert. And this is a work of art. Like, I cannot get over how beautiful it is. So I've still got some of the protective layers of paper in here because it's so delicate, but it's all this gorgeous like paper cutout artwork, which is stunning. So this is actually the story of a little boy who follows a butterfly to discover a jungle in his back garden, and he goes off exploring, which I just think is so beautiful, and what like a unique way to explore that story. I'm just like mesmerised. We then have You'll Never Guess It, another fantastical mystery book. This one's actually set in 1901, so it strays out of the 1800s setting ever so slightly, and it's The Golden Key by Marianne Womack. This one's set in an England that is obsessed with seances and trying to reach the other side. And our protagonist is a young woman well renowned for this ability. She is then hired by another wealthy aristocratic woman in order to solve a mystery that only the dead can answer the questions to, which, yes, oh my god, I'm so here for, and also feels like the perfect way to end this video because it's basically all of the themes that have carried throughout, and I am ready to basically binge my historical fantasy paranormal mysteries in the coming months. But do let me know if you've read any of these books or are interested in reading any of them. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know if you have any more recommendations for historical paranormal mysteries, because apparently that's my new thing. But I do hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, happy reading. I'll see you again soon. Bye guys.